This is Brian from the Savage Board Gaming channel, doing a gameplay review of Earth. How many times do you think I'm going to take the plant action this game? This is Brian from the Savage Board Gaming channel. Just going to do a gameplay review of Earth. So in this game, you're planting plants on an island and getting points for them and getting powers based on which ones you play. During your turn, you can take one of 4 actions. You can plant, you can compost, you can water, and you can grow. So when you take an action, you do the top action, like this one is play 2 cards, draw 4 cards, and keep 1. But then your opponents, all your opponents get to do the bottom action. So plant 1, draw a card. And it's the same thing for each one of these. There is a thing called composting, which is basically like tucking cards, I would say, in Wingspan. If you ever played Wingspan. So every card you compost is worth a point. And there's a bunch of different cards. So at the beginning of the game, let me just do this here real quick. Put this at the top. Maybe increase the size. At the beginning of the game, you get an island, a climate, and an ecosystem. They're double-sided, so you're going to choose one or the other. The island gives you your starting resources and some type of power. Your climate is just you gain an ability, right? And then your ecosystem is like end-game scoring. There's also 4 cards down here that you can score by getting to their goals first. So this one is have 4 herbs, plants in your grid, which is a 4x4 grid. Having 4 bushes, having 6 cards, each with a soil cost of 4 or more, because soil is like your currency in this game. And then fill 2 columns in your tableau. So like I said, it's a 4x4 grid, so fill 2 columns in on that grid. So out of these different actions here that you can take on your turn, planting is by far the most important one. It lets you put out cards. And the more plants you have out, the more stuff you get, basically. You also get a bonus of 7 points if you're the first one to fill in your 4x4 grid. So a lot of times when we're playing this competitively, it's a race to get all your plants out and try to score as many of these as possible. Now there are some ecosystems that are here for everybody to score off of. So like I have my own personal one, but then there's also these ones that anybody can score at the end of the game. So let's go ahead, and since planting is the most important action, we do have a green power. So whenever we take the planting action, we get to do this green power. So we're going to take this island here, the Wakari. We're going to take this arid climate, which lets me get a +2 draw whenever the red action is taken. If I choose the red action, I should say. And we'll take this great steppe, which lets us score based on how many bushes we have in our area, our grid. We do also have this here, which is also bushes, so that kind of like has a little bit of synergy. So we take these, we get ready here. I take these 2 terrain cards. And this herb here, I might have probably should have took this, but I didn't, because it is a bush. It goes with all my scoring opportunities. So. But yeah, I take these two terrains and this herb. I probably did that because there is the herb goal here. So now I have to compost for these cards, so I don't get all these cards. So that's why I was showing those three. Those are the three I keep. Gonna wait for the other players to finish their stuff here. Okay. Once again in this replay, it keeps taking away the players from over here, so it's going to be a little bit hard to keep track of whose turn it is, but we'll do our best. I do believe it starts with Dwarf, D20 Dwarf, which is this guy here. Yeah. So he has the fox here. Chose the red action. So we're doing the secondary action, so I can get 2 soils and compost 2 cards directly from the deck. So there's no reason not to do it. That's 2 points and 2 money, basically, if you think about it. Okay, so we now go down to ape long. They're going to do a plant action, which is probably what you should do as many times as you can. So we get to plant 1 card. I want to do the prairie because I will gain 2 soil back, right? Because it's a terrain, I'll get 2 soil. Plus it now gives me a green ability also to draw a card every time the green is taken. I then get this event card. Events can be good depending on which ones you get. I get to activate it, so I get to draw a card. I get a tree. I get my soil. So I'm up to 5 soil right now. So I'm going to plant, of course. Now I can't afford to plant this, but I can plant these 2 cards. So if you're taking the plant action, you really want to try to put 2 cards down. So even though this isn't great, I'm still going to use it. Whenever you build, you have to build next to a card you already have in play. So. I'm building a lot of red up here simply because if a lot of people, when they take a different action, it's to get soil. So this red action seems to be taken a lot. Okay, and this is even better. I now get another terrain, which I probably keep, right? Yep. Terrains give you special powers, and also some scoring. So like this terrain says, I get 3 points for every herb that I have in this row. So I think I'm going to try to put all herbs horizontally here. Yep, get the soil, get the card. Now, in Earth, you do activate your cards from left to right, top to bottom. So placement can be important because you might need to do something to pay for something else down the road. So. Okay, it's updating here. Okay, dwarf is doing red again. So once again, like I said, red is important because now I can get a little bit extra, you know, here. So I take the soil, but I don't compost, I think so. Or if I do, I might compost this event. I did compost. I think I composted that 14 because I thought it was too expensive. Wanted to keep the lower cost cards in my hand so I can continue to plant. So this game is basically a race. That's how you have to look at it. The quicker you can plant your entire grid, the better you are. Within reason. You still have to take other actions occasionally. But once again, you know, I have them doing the red action for me, which is giving me soil, so I can plant again on my turn. So you'll see I get out to a huge advantage in planting cards here in a second. I do not compost. Or, yep. Okay. Okay. Can you guess what I'm going to do? I have 7 soil, 2 cards totaling 4. Of course, I'm going to plant. By planting, I'm also forcing them to spend their soil. So, because they're going to want to play a card. They're not going to want to waste it. And then by the time they get to their turn, if they have less soil, they might not be able to play 2 cards, you know? So, it's got some advantages. So I play lava, which is another terrain, so I'm going to get a bunch of stuff. I have another green power here, but it's not as useful. I need cards in my hand in order to do it. So mushroom. There is a mushroom goal here. So if I can plant mushrooms, I can get a bunch of stuff. All right. So I pay for it. All right. I definitely want this card here. So that's the one I keep, I think. Yep. Even though there was a train there, this is important because it'll help me towards the Siberian tiger, and it'll help me towards my ecosystem. Plus, on top of it, it lets me plant 3 growth, which I can then use to pay for other stuff. Right. Get soil for using a terrain, get to draw a card. It's another herb, so that's pretty good for this middle call or this row here. So I can compost if I want to. I don't. And I still have 5 soil. So if D20 then plants, right? I have enough soil to still build something. Whereas Ape Long has no soil. So he's not going to be able to actually plant a card if Dwarf decides to. But Dwarf decides to draw. So he uses the growth action. Okay. It's not exactly what I think is probably the most important thing. The good thing is that, you know, I do have a yellow power, so I'm going to get rid of one of my compost to gain 3 of these sprouts. Sprouts are used for scoring, but more importantly, they can be traded in for soil. So that's what I'll try to use most of mine, right? So I lose a victory point to gain 3 sprouts, right? So you can see here, you trade in 3 sprouts to gain 2 soil. And that helps you get soil in case you need it, because you can do that at any time. Okay. I use an event. Pay 2 cubes to draw cards, I guess. Yeah, so I spent 2 cubes to draw 3 cards, because cards are super important in this game. Now, we kind of hit a pretty good jackpot of cards here. This is a free terrain, right? That links to mushrooms. I can't remember if I push into mushrooms for this endgame ecosystem or not. But we do have this one here, which is 5 points per bush diagonally adjacent to this terrain. So I could put it out there and put bushes all around it to get 5 points next to it. And since it matches up with my ecosystem, that's super good. It is a little bit expensive, but it does give me 10 victory points. So the trade-off is definitely worth it here. Okay. Once again, Ape Long needed soil, so that benefits me. I'm going to gain 3 soil here total, if I can. I do compost a card. I wonder what I'm going to do. I will plant. So you can see I got a huge advantage over my opponents. Like, they got 3 plus 1 this turn. I already have 5, and I'm putting out 2 more cards and 3 here, right? And that just puts my opponents on their back foot, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure Ape Long wants to plant himself and put out 2 cards, but because I'm planting, he feels obligated to put out a card. So it's going to use up his soil by the time it gets to his turn. He's not going to have probably enough soil to do much. So meanwhile, I put out my free terrain, which will give me a bunch of stuff, including soil. Play a second card here. Yep. So I played this Angel Trumpet. Keep the mushroom here because they're cheaper because of this. Plus it goes towards that ecosystem, right? Gain a card. Got the soil. Okay. Dwarf decides to build. That's fine with me. I like building. I put this mushroom right here. So what I'm going to do is, because I have this here and it's not ideal, I'm going to have to put this down here and then build another bush here. This is a very good scoring card for me. It's score 1 point for cards costing 3 soils or less. Well, if we look at my hand, or my tableau so far, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those already. So that's another 5 points. Plus it's a terrain, so I'll get to get a bunch of stuff when I build it. This is good because it also can give me soil in an emergency, even at the cost of 4 victory points though, so. I get another terrain. I compost 2 cards. Like I said, Ape Long's going to be stuck happening to get soil again, right? So we're putting pressure on him to build. When he doesn't want to build, that is, I should say. I mean, he has to build, but it's not like the most efficient way for him to build. So I've already got my 2 columns, so I've scored this goal, right? Is that dwarf? No. Ape Long did get a goal here with his herbs, but that's fine. There it goes. Okay, so it's asking if we want to compost. The playback's acting up a little bit here. Okay, there it goes. All right, it's my turn again. It's pretty boring. All right, I have 10 soil. I'm gonna play these 2 because of course I'm gonna plant again. It's a big surprise, right? It's in this row, so I'm getting more victory points from that. And I play this to get more victory points at the end of the game. Plus I get all my bonuses from my green powers, so I keep this last herb. And I compost it, I think. Yep. Okay. Activate all my stuff. You've seen all this already. It's a cheap bush. I want to keep it. Okay, different action. Dwarf 20 decides to water. That's fine with me. If they're doing it instead of me, that's great. I'm going to gain 2 money. 2 money basically, soil. And 2 sprouts, which I can then turn into soil, right? I've already spent sprouts as soil already in this game. Just in this playback, I don't think it really showed it, but I will now gain 2 more, which I'll have 3, which I can then trade in. So let's go ahead and do this. So, no building this time. They're doing grow. So I gain 2 cards here, and I get to put out 2 growth tokens. So let's see here where I put them. I also gain 3 more sprouts. So this is wonderful. I lose a growth to gain soil, right? Is that what happened here? Is that somebody else? You must pay. Oh, it's this card right here that's activating. So yep, it's more money. And I have a much better herb than this one here, so. So I'm going to play cards again. I now have this row filled in. I cannot put any more in this row. And I still have a place here for a bush, here for the terrain. I put out the other bush. It's really good. If they decide to do the compost action, I'm going to get a lot of soil. So, because I'll trade in these growth tokens, no problem, to get the soil. So I keep this herb because I need to play 1 more to qualify for this. Because I have 1, 2, 3. I need the 4th one. Activate all my powers for the green. That's such a good card. I think I got rid of it. I composted that herb because this was such a good card that got drawn. I was like, yeah, we need this instead. This lets me just compost 2 off the deck every time the compost action is taken. So that's like 2 victory points every time they decide to do that. Okay, so Dwarf 20 decides to get into the planting business here. But they're so far behind, I don't think it'll help them all that much. So I'm going to plant that bush. So I now have 3 bushes for this. So I'm going to get 8 points so far. And I'm just picking up points here and there, you know. Might not seem like a lot now, but later on it'll be worth it, because not only that, it's worth less than 3, right? So these cards are worth less than 3. I'll be scoring a point for each one of them, you know. So okay, I must choose order of activation. Oh yeah, so I'm gaining all my stuff. I didn't plant a terrain, so I'm not getting as much. The past 2 turns I haven't, so that's okay. I mean, planting terrain cards or playing them, sometimes not that easy. Okay, got another mushroom. Not sure if that gets played or not. Okay. Okay. Ape Long decides to compost. This is extremely good for me. So let's just go through it here, right? So I'm going to go through my cards here. It goes from left to right, top to bottom, right? So we go through these, none. Getting 3 soils in addition to my 2 soil here. So I'm gaining as much soil as the first player, right? I then can also gain another soil. So I'm gaining more soil than the first player, right? I have the option to get rid of 2 growth to gain 4 soil. So I'm really getting more. And then I get to compost 2 cards. That's 2 victory points. So I'm at 4 soil now. At the end of this, I should have a ton of stuff to build with. So, all right, 8. Did I decide not to do that? Oh. So here's this one. So I do discard the 2 growth I had to gain 4 soil. And then I'll compost 2 cards from the deck. Okay. It's a really good turn. They probably don't want to do any red the rest of the game if they can help it, because I'm going to get so much stuff. I now have enough to actually play this even, you know? So do I do that? Or do I play it safe? That's the question, right? Because this will cost me 11. This will cost all my soil. I'll gain a couple soil back with my island. Put me at 3. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I do on the next turn. Okay, it's starting to move again here. Okay. I felt I had enough of a lead to actually take the growth action. That's what it was. Because I wanted more cards, right? Like, this is okay. And it'll give me 2 growth for if I need to use it for the red. So I'm gaining soil basically here. Gaining 2 soil, so it's not the end of the world. And if you haven't noticed, this is the first time I've done something other than plant. So this is the first time I've deviated from the plant action. So I'm gaining a lot of stuff here. So if we go through it right, I got rid of a compost card, gained 3 sprouts. I can plant on 3 of the surrounding ones, right? So let's see here. All right, and then I gain soil again, because I have soil here too, right? Get rid of a growth, gain 3 soil. So I'm pretty set up, even though I took that. Now I have 15 soil. So it gives me a little bit of a cushion now to build that. So, and if they build, they build, right? Plant. I keep saying build, plant. So I get to plant a card. Guess what I'm going to plant? I'm going to plant that. It's another terrain. It's worth 10 points. 20 points, right? So, yeah, and I'm going to gain a bunch of stuff for doing it. So I'll gain more soil back, right? So I only have 2 spots left. Now, a smart thing to do would be, and I don't think Apelon does it, is to, well, he might build. Yeah, I think he does build. I was going to say, make it so that my build action is not efficient, right? Because my goal is to get that 7 bonus points there, right? because I've scored here, not scored here. I have not scored here either. So I've scored less, but I'm not too concerned. Okay. So if I was ape long, I would have built. I mean, let me look at his soil. He has 9 soil. Yeah, build at that point. Because I'm going to end the game on my turn now, right? I'm going to gain 7 points for it. If I have the right cards, I'm going to score. Like, see, I have this. I can score this here for 8 more. Yeah, I don't know why that was a thing. So the other thing is let's see how many I'm scoring for this. For every 2 odd cards, right? That's odd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, and then whatever else I build, right? I think I tried to build this at the end here. So that's 1 for every frost symbol in one player's area, right? So it's 2 points per frost in any one player's area. So I think that's what I try to build too. So now the way I'm playing this now, by planting every turn, is not how I would play with my family. If we're playing to have fun, I'm not going to play like this because it's pretty intense and you're probably not going to have a good time. This is primarily for if you're playing in a competition of some sort. So yeah. In fact, I've already told my family I probably won't play Earth with them again. If they want to play Earth, they can, but I can't because I don't think I can play any way differently now. So, okay. I converted some, and of course I'm going to plant. So I do that, right? I now have 14. So I'm going to build this. Yep. So endgame is triggered because I filled in the board, because that's the endgame triggering condition. You'll see, like, you know, D20 is like he's 3 plants short from even being close. Ape Long is 6 cards short from filling his grid in. That's, I mean, I just go through the motions here. And I think because D20 was the first player, this is the actual last turn of the game. So see how I scored here. So you'll see my terrain score here is 52. 52 terrain. Mainly because of how I had it set up, where I was getting soil for terrain, plus terrain helps me score, and I was trying to actually score those terrains. Yeah, see, like 11 from this card, 9 from this card, 22 from this card, right? Um, 10 from this card. Who did that hit? So that's like 2 points for every frost symbol. So somebody had 11 frost symbols. Was it me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Must have been from me. Yeah, it had to be from my hand. Did I miss one somehow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's weird. Oh, includes, okay, 11. Includes the island and climate. So yeah, those cards, like being able to focus on terrain because it matched up with this really helped me out there. But you know, that's a look at the strategy of Earth. Just plant as much as you can, unless it makes sense for you to take a turn somewhere else for one turn to set you up for more planting. Keep the pressure on your opponents, you know, make them spend their soil so that they can't plant on their turn, right? Those are some of the key takeaways you want to get from this. There's also a very good strategy guide out there by Nick Henning from the Phoenix YouTube channel. If you don't know Nick, he has 4 World Series rings and has been at more final tables than anybody else. But yeah, he has his own website. I'll put a link to his channel in the comments of this video. And thank you for watching. If you like this content, please, like, subscribe, comment, and thank you for your time.